I'm Jane from Poppy Patchwork and welcome to my quilt block series. In each of these videos I'm going to show you how to make a different block and they're all going to measure 12 inches. I hope you like this video. If you do, click the like button and please let me know in the comment section below what other videos you'd like me to make. Let's get quilting. Hi, I'm Jane from Poppy Patchwork and thank you for watching this video. This is a second version of my Hope of Hartford quilt block, and the first one I made a mistake in it and one of my kind viewers told me about it. So thank you very much for telling me about my mistake, and I have rectified it and I hope you enjoy this new video. Today I'm going to show you how to make a 12-inch block called the Hope of Hartford. This block uses partial seams and identical split square units, so it is a little bit tricky. You'll need one 6 3/4 inch square in background fabric and 4 3 by 5.5 inch rectangles. You will need one 6 3/4 inch square in fabric A and one 3 inch square in fabric A. And you will need two 6 3/4 inch squares in fabric B. Making the split square unit. Using the 6 3/4 inch squares in the background fabric and fabric A. Place the ruler diagonally on the wrong side of one of the fabrics. The 1/4 inch line on the ruler should intersect the corners. Now draw a line along the ruler. You'll now have one drawn line as shown. Turn the unit round and repeat on the other side, placing the ruler diagonally on the wrong side of the fabric, with the 1/4 inch line of the ruler intersecting the corners, and again draw a line. You will now have two drawn lines as shown. Turn the unit round and repeat on the other diagonal, placing the ruler diagonally on the wrong side of the fabric, with the 1/4 inch line on the ruler intersecting the corners. Draw a line along the ruler edge. You will now have three drawn lines as shown. And then turn the unit round again and repeat on the final diagonal. Placing the ruler diagonally on the wrong side of the fabric, the 1/4 inch line of the ruler should intersect the corners, and again draw a line. You will now have four drawn lines as shown. Pin the background fabric and fabric A right sides together. With those lines that you've drawn on the wrong side of your fabric, you need to sew down the line on the right hand side. And then when you get to the center, you need to stop. So I'm just going to sew down this line on the right hand side. Now I've just gone beyond where the first line crosses over, and I'm now in the center of that line in the center of the block. I'm going to lower the needle and I'm going to lift the presser foot. I'm going to turn around and now I'm going to cross over the center of the block, and I'm going to stop sewing when I hit the next line. My needle is in the down position. I'm going to lift the presser foot now and pivot the foot around. I can see it's not quite where I want it. I'm just going to manually take that across one more time. And now I'm going to go down the line on the left hand side. Let me just cut that little piece off here and I can show you what I've sewn. So I'm going to take a photograph of that and then I'll show you what you need to sew next. So your stitching should look like the blue line in this photo. So I've rotated that block around, and now I'm going to sew on the line that is on the right hand side until I get to the center again. So I'm going to lower my needle, and now I'm going to raise the press foot and pivot around. It doesn't matter if it's not in exactly the center position, but what is important is that you now sew across to the next line and stop on that line. So my needle is in the down position. I'm going to raise that presser foot, and now I'm going to sew down on the left hand line. I'll now show you a picture of that. So now your stitching should resemble the blue line in this photo. Cut across the diagonal in both directions. Press the units towards the darker fabric. Cut fabric B square in half across the diagonal, as shown here. Pin the triangle units right sides together. The fabric B triangle will be bigger, that's okay. Be careful not to stretch fabric B now that it has been cut on the bias. Sew a 1/4 inch seam as shown and press the seam towards the larger fabric. Trimming the split square units. Lay the 45-degree line on the ruler on top of the seam. And line up the bottom and left edges at just over 5.5 inches. Trim the top and right edges. Turn the unit round and lay the 45-degree line along the seam. Line the bottom and left edges at exactly 5.5 inches. Trim the right and top edges. You will see I'm a little off in the corner here. I should have lined the partial seam on the ruler. And this is one of the reasons why I like to use a speciality ruler. My favourite is the Quilt in the Day square up triangular ruler. I'll show you how I use it. You line the seam on the 5.5 inch line on the ruler and the other seam on the centre line of the ruler. Then you trim on both sides of the ruler. And that's all you have to do. It's super quick and very accurate, and you don't need to make a decision about which way to press your seams until after you've trimmed your unit up. Block layout. Press your units and lay in the block layout. Pin the rectangles to the split square units and sew with the 1/4 inch seam. Return to the block layout and press towards the rectangles. Fold the centre square in half along one edge and mark the halfway point with a pencil. Join the square to the top left unit. Place right sides together with the mark as shown. So in order to sew this partial seam, I'm just going to sew a 1/4 inch seam down to that line which I marked halfway along the square. So I'm just going to reduce the speed as I get close to that mark. I'm going to lower the needle down and I'm just going to do a little back stitch. It doesn't matter if you go a little bit beyond that mark, but you don't want to go too far beyond it. I'll show you what that looks like. Your stitching should look like the white line in this photo. Press and return to the block layout. Pin and sew with a 1/4 inch seam. Press and return to the block layout. Pin again and sew with a 1/4 inch seam. And then press and return to the block layout. And then repeat with the third side. Pin the third side, folding back the first piece with the partial seam and sew with a 1/4 inch seam. Press and return to the block layout. So having sewn all the other seams, we're now back at that partial seam, and I'm going to start the partial seam where I finished it before. So that's at that halfway mark that we made. So I'm going to pop that in underneath my presser foot, and I'm going to lower the needle down just the other side of the mark that we made. and I'm going to start with the back stitch, and then I'm just going to continue to sew along that seam as I normally would. So there you go, that's the partial seam sewn, and I'll show you a photograph of that. Congratulations, you have made the Hope of Hartford block. I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. More of these videos will be posted, so please tune in. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.